this was a scary situation, and Mr. Neely came on. He was threatening. I'm 6'2" and he was taller than me. I'm 6'2" and he was taller than me. I'm 6'2" and he was taller than me.
And self-defense as a concept is about using responsive force. So I actually think that the fact that people are calling this self-defense is also slander on so many of the people, especially from oppressed communities who have had to defend themselves against, unwanted attacks and other things over the year. This is not that. Daniel Penny just decided that he felt Jordan Neely was a threat that had to be taken down. He decided to use what almost anyone knows, especially a Marine, is a potentially highly dangerous maneuver, even when it's done for a short period of time. And he chose to do it for an extended period of time. And I feel that now all we're really seeing are these attempts to muddy the waters and not ask, to me, what is really the ultimate question here, which is how do we even end up in a place like this?
Last week, that guy came to me and said, "Mister, I don't have much money, but I like that Michael Jackson hat you're selling. It's $20, but can I come back with $10 and pay you the rest?" And I said, yes. He was a humble guy. He came to me humbly, and I gave him the hat. I didn't want him to come back and pay me, but I always say, yes, come back with it. It's a principle. Mm-hmm. But the bottom line is, the night I'm going home, last 2 nights ago, I saw somebody choking someone on the train, and I posted online. It's injustice anywhere, is a threat to justice everywhere. Then in the morning, I'm listening to 1010 News and I see that's the guy. And all of a sudden now, 41 arrests, all of that has nothing to do with criminal record, has nothing to do with the fact that he was attacked from behind and choked to death. Now, if I was on that train, it would never happen.
Absolutely.
I'm a veteran also. And that Marine, tell that Marine, come see me, come and choke me.
Now, to the best of your knowledge, this man is not a violent man.
He's not a violent person. You can ask anyone at the South Street Ferry, Staten Island Ferry, or anywhere in the area. He does the Michael Jackson thing, smooth, all that stuff. And
so he was a dude going through something. He liked to dance. He was playful.
Yes.
Because they don't show what led up to him being choked out.
Right.
So it's an incomplete story.
When I was studying the Good Samaritan in the Bible, a thought had popped up in my head about what a bad Samaritan would be like. So when the Jordan Neely and the Daniel Penny situation first happened, I guess I was preoccupied with other things. I didn't really know too much about it. As far as I was concerned, I went with the talking points of the people, which was that this guy was acting up and basically he had to be put down. Then, as it's become more popular of a topic now, I look more into it and I realized that most of the stuff that people were spewing was not only hate, but it wasn't facts. And I noticed a pattern that facts were being ignored. They weren't going viral. They weren't getting retweets or a lot of likes. Only the false narrative was going viral. And the hatred it blinds people to where they don't care what the facts are. They only care about the carnal. This white man, he was a Marine Corps. As far as they're concerned, he's a hero. And this black guy was a bad guy. He's got multiple arrests. He's got drugs in his history, and he deserved what he got. But the facts show that this definitely is not the case.
I just want to say that I appreciate every moment that I got the opportunity to be in the presence of this young man. He was kind and meek and humble, and he had a good sense of humor, and he was kind-hearted.
Because I have to hug a father who knows that the murderer of his son will most likely go free, who has to look in the face of a jury that no matter the facts, no matter the expert witnesses, no matter the people yelling on that train that day to let Jordan go, you will kill him. They will not find a white man guilty of killing a black man in modern day America. This is no different than Jim Crow. This looks like a picture out of the picture book when you look at that anonymous jury We have baby boomers who were there doing Jim Crow on this jury. We have young people who are looking at Daniel Penny as a hero.
Feel anger about the depravity that people, just the cavalier way in which people take people's lives, and then the equally cavalier way in which people cheerlead people who kill people. Now, Jordan McNeely was a young man who was 30 years old, who was on the subway, and he was getting loud and belligerent and many reports. And he said he was hungry and thirsty, and he was getting loud. And now, if you've ever ridden a subway in New York, you're going to find people, they're going to do a lot of things on subway. Can I get your attention? They're going to ask you for money. It may be loud. It may be even aggressive. New Yorkers are used to it. And the fact that there are millions of people every day that get on the subways in New York without incident tells you something about the steely way in which New Yorkers roll. They are amazing that they navigate these spaces every single day. All socioeconomics. Puffy was on the train with Carisha, yes, going to Dapper Dan, going up to Harlem. They got on the subway. Okay, people ride the subway all the fastest way to get around. And there's very few incidents. So there was a shooting last year, and I think it was a stabbing a couple of years ago. And this gentleman, and I'm gonna call him a gentleman because, you know, by all accounts, you know, he could be found doing his Michael Jackson impersonations, which seem very lovely. And then all I'm seeing is the 40 arrests. And I'm like, why media is it so quick to do the counterintelligence, do the COINTELPRO thing? We're going to immediately put out his arrest record. I'm not saying his arrest record is irrelevant, because it's not. But in this particular case, the man that choked him to death didn't know that he had a warrant out for his arrest. The man that choked him to death, first of all, there was no, this Jordan McNeely didn't touch anybody. He has touched people in the past. And in that instance, we could have an argument or a conversation about, well, this was self-defense. He was standing there yelling about being hungry and thirsty. The person that took it upon himself, the 24-year-old former Marine, shout out to everybody that has served this country with distinction. I'm not sure about this one, though. But I also believe that there's a lot of people in the military and a lot of people on police forces that go in because they are bloodthirsty. And this man's chokehold of Jordan McNeely for the length of time, and then the two other people that came to help him after what it seemed to me, because I unfortunately watched the video. Jordan McNeely wasn't fighting. He looked like he was signaling for help. Like, I need to breathe. I can't breathe. And at the point that he lost consciousness, the man kept the chokehold on.
Testified she didn't see Neely make any physical contact with anyone. She also didn't see any weapons on Neely, but I truly felt that he was most likely armed. With nowhere to go because the train was in motion, she said, she felt a sense of relief when Daniel Penny restrained Neely. Prosecutors argue Penny's intentions were good, but that he took things too far, using excessive force in placing Neely in a chokehold for nearly 6 minutes. The man seen here circled in this video took the stand and showed pictures he took of Neely on the ground. He testified he was in the station, saw a crowd, and went over with no context as to what was happening. He says he heard someone say, "Let him go, you're going to kill him," and also heard others say Neely had a pulse.
He might choke on his own screen and put him on his back.
He says he tried to pour water on Neely's forehead, but Penny told him to stop. We cannot hear that on this video. Penny's attorneys on cross said Penny can be seen moving Neely's head to the side, repositioning Neely's arm to support his head. At one point, the judge had to remind people seated in the gallery to do their best not to visibly or audibly react. At one point, a woman loudly crying exited the courtroom.
Neely, a black man who had performed on subway platforms as a Michael Jackson impersonator, had been complaining of hunger and thirst while riding an F train in Manhattan on Monday, according to journalist Juan Alberto Vázquez, who witnessed the incident. Vázquez described his account in a Facebook post in which he shared a 4-minute video showing the encounter. Neely shouted that he was fed up, that he didn't care if he went to prison, and that he was ready to die, Vázquez wrote. Neely then took off his jacket and aggressively threw it on the subway car floor, but did not appear to want to attack anyone, according to the journalist. Then a white 24-year-old passenger, that's Penny, on the train put Neely in a headlock and held him in the position for 15 minutes, Vázquez said. 2 other bystanders also stepped in to help the man restrain Neely.
The decision to hire Jo Ellen Demetrius as a jury consultant for the Daniel Penny trial has really outraged the family of Jordan Neely. They say her involvement is a disgraceful attempt to justify vigilantism and to devalue Jordan Neely's life, in this case that has been racially and politically charged from the onset. Who is Joanne Demetrius? Well, she has been seen with the Daniel Penny defense team every day since jury selection started last week. That's her there in the red dress. Most recently, she helped select the jury in the Kyle Rittenhouse trial, who was acquitted in 2021 in the shooting deaths of the Black Lives Matter protesters in Wisconsin.
I believe in the prosecution. I believe in New York City. So I'm gonna keep this thing here short and sweet.
Right on.
I want justice for Jordan Neely.
At the age of 14, he began to suffer from serious mental health issues after his mother was murdered by her boyfriend, stuffed in a suitcase that was left alongside a highway in the Bronx.
Even though they say this kid had multiple arrests, you can't, first of all, you can't go by the talking points online, because these people are straight liars. In one of the interviews with Daniel Penny, he made the statement that it was a scary situation, basically. He said that when he seen this guy was bigger than him. Okay, that's a lie, okay? Daniel Penny is 6'2". Okay? 202 pounds. Majority of that is muscle. Why? Because he works out and he was a former Marine. So he's trained in on how to handle himself and handle certain situations. Neely was only 140 pounds soaking wet. And he was only 5'7". So he's way shorter and he's way lighter. And being that I'm from Harlem, no, I wouldn't be quick to be scared of somebody who was smaller than me. I didn't sleep on him, but I wouldn't be rushing to the conclusion of I'm scared. Especially when this person isn't even coming at me. Matter of fact, this person wasn't even looking at him. How do we know that? Because Daniel Penny snuck up from behind and put him in a chokehold. And according to some of the leaked testimonies, within 3 to 5 seconds, this kid was down, unable to do anything. 2 other men came to help Daniel keep him pinned down. Did Daniel need help? No. He had this situation secured. The people left the train when the doors opened. The moment that last person stepped out the train and that train car was empty, the danger was over. Some can argue that the danger was over the moment he took him down. But I'm going to give it a little leeway, and I'm going to say the danger was over once the people got off the train. A good Samaritan does something to help the people. You did do that. You helped the people. Now, the people are safe. But for some reason, he continued to choke him until he was basically brain dead. Okay? We see little wiggles. We see resistance. But this is not the resistance of somebody fighting. This is the resistance of somebody struggling. Jordan was struggling to breathe. From the testimony of the medical examiner, he was struggling to breathe. They want to go into sickle cell and the possibility that he might have smoked some K2 within the past week. That has nothing to do with his ability to breathe with an arm around his neck. This kid is struggling to breathe because he's in a chokehold. Okay? So, people will bring up things he did in the past. Fine. But let's not let that interfere with the topic, which is what happened on the train. 2 people who did testified that as far as they're concerned, he wasn't a threat to anyone. He didn't appear to be looking to hurt anyone. He didn't try to hurt anyone. He didn't put a finger on anyone. And the statements, which are conflicting, 3 of the people's statements claim that the harm that he claimed and yelled out was toward himself. It was about him being hungry, him wanting to die, him not caring. This was suicidal talk, not suicidal as in mass murder, but suicidal is an internal. So, was he armed? No. One of the women testified she believed he was. Well, you were wrong, lady. This kid was unarmed. She said she feared that this was the day she was going to die. Why? He wasn't near you. He didn't have any weapons. He wasn't scary looking. This was a frail kid. All he did was yell. He yelled for 9 to 20 seconds. He was yelling on the train in a public space. He was yelling. And that, according to white America, is enough reason to give you the death penalty. You don't need to be a mass shooter. You don't need to be a serial killer. You don't need to sell tons of heroin. All you got to do is have black skin and yell, and you are now worthy of death. This is the wicked world, the wicked country we live in. So, when the people left the train, the area was now secure. He continued to choke. They said that they took his hand to feel for a pulse. Unbeknownst to them, that if you choke somebody out to the point to where they're brain dead, their heart doesn't stop pumping once that happens. Therefore, a pulse will still exist. So you feel for the pulse. His pulse is there. He's brain dead. He's gone. You wait for the ambulance, for the NYPD. They get there. They don't want to try to give CPR for whatever reason. They don't want to try to get CPR. They signed up for a job that they don't want to do. So when they say that he was still breathing, he died, or he was pronounced dead at the hospital. So the pronouncement of his final death wasn't until the hospital. And when they push that, they're pushing it, ignoring the events that put him in the ambulance and caused them to have to go to the hospital. So this kid was choked to death. What was his crime? Like I said, he yelled. In the state of New York, the city of Manhattan, the city of New York, that constitutes a violation known as disorderly conduct. They could have stretched it and tried to give him reckless endangerment. They'd have had a hard time with that because he didn't touch nobody. He didn't destroy no property. He didn't make no aggressive movements towards anyone. All he did was yell out some words that made people uncomfortable. Do you deserve to be hearing uncomfortable words? No. But does the person giving those and pushing those uncomfortable words deserve death? No. So while you may think Daniel Penny is a hero, he is not. While you may think he is a good Samaritan, he is not. The Good Samaritan has a happy ending. This story does not have a happy ending. This has a sad ending. And this guy who lied multiple times is a bad Samaritan. And that is not what America needs. It appears that this is what white America wants. They want bad Samaritans.
What the fuck? The world's terrorists are the United States. Look what we did to Iraq. Look what we did to Libya. Libya, the most successful country in all of Africa. The guy created the eighth wonder of the world with the way how he delivered water and turned deserts into farmland. And everybody had a house and everybody had education and healthcare. And we turned it into a failed state run by terrorists with open slave markets. Who did that? What?